Speaker, he lied repeatedly to my team when asked about his relationship with Epstein before and during his tenure as ambassador. I regret appointing him. If I knew then what I know now, he would never have been anywhere near government.
In January 2024, a journalist from the Financial Times informed the Prime Minister that Mandelson had stayed in Epstein's house even after that conviction for child prostitution. So did the Prime Minister conveniently forget this fact, or did he decide it was a risk worth taking?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, as the House would expect, we went through a process. There was a due diligence exercise, and then there was security vetting by the security services. What was not known was the depth, the sheer depth and extent of the relationship. He lied about that to everyone for years. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, yesterday, the Cabinet Secretary, with my support, took the decision to refer material to the police. And there is now a criminal investigation. I've instructed my team to draft legislation to strip Mandelson of his title and wider legislation to remove disgraced peers. And this morning, I've agreed with His Majesty the King that Mandelson should be removed from the list of Privy Councillors on grounds that he's brought the reputation of the Privy Council into disrepute. I intend to make sure that all of the material is published. Mr. Speaker, the only exemptions are national security, if it prejudice national security. My first duty is obviously to keep this country safe. And when we drafted humble addresses, we always put an exemption for national security.
Rayner Leeds Labour MP calls to back Tory demand for independent ruling on release of Mandelson files. Stephen Finn, the SNP leader at Westminster, said MPs should support the Tory motion for the full disclosure of the Mandelson documents to ensure that the treachery of Peter Mandelson is not ignored. He said Starmer had still not apologized for appointing Mandelson as ambassador, and he said Starmer's lack of judgment would lead to his departure from Number 10. Speaker tells MPs Mandelson debate will end at 7 p.m., not 4 p.m. as originally planned. Lindsay Hoyle, the Speaker, has just intervened to say that, in response to a request from the Conservative Party, whose debate this is, they chose the motion, the debate will run until 7 p.m. That means what was meant to be the second Tory debate of the debate, on a motion saying under-16s should not have access to social media, has been cancelled. Labour MP Polly Billington says propriety of public life is on the line in this debate. Back in the debate, Polly Billington, LAB, has just finished speaking. She said people voted Labour for change. She went on, "This is the moment where the propriety of public life is on the line. The actions of this government can go one of two ways: a decision to draw a line under the culture of certain people being worth the risk, or an agreement that there will no longer be situations where particular individuals, because of connections or talent, are exempt from the rules that apply to the rest of us." The BBC Live blog has a good selection of new email exchanges between Peter Mandelson and Jeffrey Epstein released in the US. Here is one where Epstein complains that Mandelson is ungrateful for all that Epstein has done for him. It is from 2012. Here is one from 2010 where Epstein asks Mandelson to intervene on his behalf with Larry Summers, President Obama's chief economic advisor. Speaker tells MPs that rule about not discussing royals in debate no longer covers Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Hoare was asked during his speech if he agreed that MPs should pass a bill removing Andrew Mountbatten Windsor from the line of succession. Hoare said MPs were not able to discuss the royal family. At that point, Lindsay Hoyle, the Speaker, intervened to say that rule not longer applied because Andrew is no longer a prince. After that, Hoare said he did favor legislation like that, although he thought the chance of Andrew ever succeeding to the throne was so remote as to be unimaginable. Simon Hoare, the Conservative chair of the Public Administration and Constitutional Affairs Committee, is speaking now. He is urging Labour MPs to vote against the government amendment. He says the hardest vote he ever made was voting against the Tory whip when the Boris Johnson government was trying to shelve the Standards Committee report, saying Owen Paterson should be suspended. It was hard because Paterson was a friend, personally and politically, but he has never regretted it because it was the right thing to do. He says the government should pull its amendment, and Labour MPs should speak to their whips telling them to do this, he says. Back in the Commons, Matt Bishop, LAB, is speaking. He says he could never vote for something that would be seen by his constituents as a cover-up. He is referring to the government amendment, C854 AM. He says he does not believe the government can mark its own homework on a matter of such gravity. He says because it is moral necessity, he will be voting in the interests of victims and survivors. This is the statement that the Conservative Party put out about Keir Starmer admitting at PMQs he was aware when he appointed Peter Mandelson as ambassador to the U.S. that Mandelson had remains friends with Jeffrey Epstein after Epstein was convicted of child sex offenses. See 12:11 p.m. The Prime Minister has just admitted that the official security vetting highlighted Mandelson's ongoing relationship with the pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, but he went ahead and appointed him anyway. This is the first time the Prime Minister has admitted this, and it raises very serious questions over Keir Starmer's shocking judgment. The PM is now trying to orchestrate a cover-up by having his own government mark his homework. All MPs must now support the Conservatives' humble address so that we reveal the full extent of this scandal and the shocking failure of Keir Starmer and his operation.